This weekend, Giants Live had a double bill of strength action, starting off on the Saturday with Britain's Strongest Woman, and then on the Sunday we had England's Strongest Man. So let's bring you the lowdown. So we'll start off with the women's show, and what a fantastic show it was. This is the first time Giants Live have put on a women's only show. Obviously we've had the women as part of the team competition before, but this was the first time they put the women out there on a platform on their own, and my goodness, they delivered.
Yeah, they really did deliver. This is such a long anticipated show, I feel. I was talking to Colin beforehand. He was like, yeah, my 28 years of promoting or whatever it is, I think this is my first women's competition. And I wanted to say to him, that's really bad. But I didn't.
Well, look, the fact is, when I started Strongman, I remember seeing Britain's Strongest Woman, and there was two athletes.
Yeah.
Two athletes, and very, very few women were involved in the sport. And what we've seen over the years is more and more people get into it, and whether that's thanks to just the popularity of the sport getting bigger, I feel some of it is to do with CrossFit, where people have been given a barbell in their hands, and some athletes end up liking the strength side of things, coming over to strong women. Obviously the weight classes have helped as well, because it makes it a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
And these women, you know, they've really started to put on incredible shows. They're firstly extremely talented. I mean, the lifts, the abilities that they have are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But one thing I love about the women as well, and we saw this weekend, the men were great, but the women are a little bit more entertaining, I find.
I think the women are just interesting. Like, you get them on a mic and it's not the same old.
It is different, isn't it?
Things. It is different, yeah. I absolutely love, what do they call it, a VT?
Yes.
The video that they play at the start? Ah, the VT. And that poem that they recited together at the beginning, it was actually written by one of like the female creative people in the Giants Live team. So I just thought it was really nice. It was a really nice sort of collaborative work, and it was just so lovely, because these women, they deserve this stage, and they've been doing this for such a long time. When no one was watching, they carried on, and now they're starting to reap.
It feels like it's really growing, doesn't it?
Very much so. Let's get into the events though, starting with the log lift.
So log lift, first event, and this one, I guess Andrea was the favourite for, but she was coming back from just 3 months ago tearing her bicep, having surgery on her bicep, and she was extremely worried. Like, not just about this event, but every single event. But came to the competition and she delivered, hitting 8 reps to take the win with the 90 kilo log in only 60 seconds. 60 seconds isn't a huge amount of time, so you really don't have time to kind of mess about when it's like that, you know, that kind of weight in that time frame. She had to go for the whole time frame. So she was up against Lucy, who's improved her pressing tremendously, but also someone else that's really improved their pressing is Rebecca Roberts.
Yes.
I remember watching Rebecca at the Arnold's earlier this year, and I gave Rebecca some, I guess, constructive criticism.
Yeah.
You know, I love Rebecca. I think she's awesome, and you know, you can just see the raw talent. But she's gone away and worked on that technique as well, and it looked so much better. Really, really solid performance from Becca. Lucy's pressing is getting better, obviously known as a great deadlifter, but improving all the time. Donna Moore still showing how incredible she is, and I thought Kate Connolly, for one of the smaller athletes, she did really well on this event.
Kate came into this with an injury, but Kate does hold the world log lift record for the under 64 kilo women, so this is very much her favourite event too.
So event number 2 was the axle deadlift, 220 kilos for as many repetitions as possible, and again, you know, it was the same faces again. We were kind of starting to see with just these first 2 static events, the real big names in terms of the heavier athletes as well. I say that with love.
I know.
But it was an interesting concept, this competition, because you have 3 former world's strongest women.
That's just in the open weights.
You have 3 former women's world champions in the open weight. Obviously, Donna has cut down, so she now tends to compete in the under 82s, but she still does compete in the opens as well.
Rhiannon, 2-time world champion.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get to the point of is that this competition had a number of different classes competing in it, which is very much like old school, I guess, the strongman, when there was no weight classes, everyone was chucked in, and you're finding out who's the king, or in this case, the queen of the jungle. Now, it is you know, you have to say there's a big advantage to the bigger athletes.
Of course there is. It's like Tommy Lynn Lavelle competing against Tom Stoltman.
Well, I was going to compare it to Dean McVie, as he's like probably the number one under 80 kilo athlete in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, up against Tom Stoltman.
Yeah.
Just that stature alone of comparing those two would be, you know, scary.
Lozzie, the wide angles you need just to get them both in the shot. 6'4" Rebecca is. She is tall. She's tall next to men.
But one thing, you know, I really admire was that there was no complaining from any of the women. And I actually had a word with Rhiannon Lovelace after the competition, because the fact is, these lighter weight classes are up against it when they're stepping up to this level. But Rhea doesn't see it like that.
Oh, I know.
She's like, well, I can get better. I can get stronger. I can improve. I can, you know, and I really admired that attitude because it's, I mean, she almost can't get bigger. You know,
No.
she tried to force feed herself up for this competition and she puts on like a pound. It's, you know, there's a big disadvantage. However, I absolutely admire the attitude and, you know, fair play to her, because a lot of people would just say, oh, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I really do admire her attitude, and it sort of inspired me, to be honest. I'm like, well, yeah, why can't you get better? And that should be everyone's attitude is, I've got to focus on me improving. And, you know, fair play to every single one of them. But at this point, we were seeing a little bit of a stretch with what I would class as the top four.
Yeah, very much so. And the deadlift kind of went how you would expect it to go. I think Rebecca really tested Lucy when she put up 10 reps on the deadlift, because again, this is only 60 seconds. It's not long.
It's not, but Lucy looked like she had so much more in the tank.
Lucy looked like she could have gone solidly for 2 minutes without having to stop.
Absolutely. I mean, Donna Moore put 7 reps up, which was really good.
Brilliant.
Andrea got to go last up against Lucy, I believe. There was no way she was going to beat Lucy, so she kind of stopped at 8. Really good for her, getting some good points, again, coming back from the injury. But the deadlift was all about Lucy.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
You know, she looked like she had plenty more in the tank if needed. So the next event was the sandbag steeplechase. This is a brutal event. The athletes had 2 sandbags, 100 kilos each. They had to lift them up, carry them over this steeplechase in the centre of the room. So it's 10 metres to the first part, lift it over, run back, get the other sandbag, lift it over, and then go under or around the steeplechase, pick them up, and then load them onto a platform on the far end. I can tell you from experience, it's a horrible event.
Yeah.
You know, you just feel it in your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower back feels it. You just feel like the first 2 bags aren't so bad. It's the loading them the second time when everything starts to fatigue and it feels like you're walking through quicksand. Every step gets harder and harder. And this was the first time we didn't see one of the top 4 dominating.
No, it was Laura Baxter. Again, this is a weight class athlete. She's an under 82 kilo athlete, but she was lightning fast.
Absolutely, real athletic.
She manhandled that 100 kilo bag, didn't she?
Well, she was kind of picking them up and like launching them over the platform. It's very impressive. Very, very quick. She took the win on this one. Amazing performance. But then it was that consistency. Lucy Underdown taking 2nd place, Rebecca Roberts taking 3rd, and Donna Moore once again in 4th place.
And I think the fact that only 5 of the 13 athletes finished shows how brutal it was. And it was Naomi Hadley was the last athlete to finish, so good for her.
Absolutely. So event number 4 was the super yoke, 260 kilos over 20 metres as fast as possible. And this was a chance for Chloe Brennan to shine. She ended up coming 4th on this event. She hadn't had the best start to the competition. You could almost see a little bit of disappointment in her face backstage, but she didn't let it get to her. She knew this would be a good event, one of the lighter athletes competing on the day as well, and she absolutely blitzed through this course, finishing in just under 14 seconds. Very, very impressive with such a big weight for such a small athlete.
Yeah, and the yoke isn't Lucy Underdown's favourite event, but she managed to finish in under 13 seconds. But this event, my goodness, now they were not in the same race together, Andrea and Rebecca. Andrea was up first and she was sub 10. It was like 9.7 something seconds, something like that.
9.67 for Andrea.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca went after 9.65. both incredible times, and Rebecca Roberts just pipping her on that one.
Just pipped her there. But both of them absolutely steamrolling. Someone said to me, imagine how fast Andrea would be if she was 6'4". And I thought, I don't know, would she? Would she?
Do you know what? Like, we go back to the Rhiannon kind of case.
Yeah.
You can't change your kind of your build.
Andrea would be terrifying at 6'4". Can you imagine? My goodness.
That would be an interesting sight to see. But yeah, you just can't think of it like that.
No.
You know, we can't do anything about it. And like Rhiannon said, you just get better.
Yeah.
And, you know, Rebecca's improving, Lucy's improving, Andrea's on the way back. Donna still challenging,
Still amazing.
you know, after so many years doing this sport. The lighter athletes just giving everything. Some of the masters athletes as well. You know, we had a real mix in this, you know, contest. It was just, and they were always smiling.
They coped with the pace really well, I thought.
They really did, and they were engaging and entertaining as well. When in their interviews, in their walk-ons, they were just having fun. They were dancing. It was just enjoyable to watch. So the final event of the day was the power stairs. 4 implements up 3 steps each, so a total of 12 steps. Only 6 of our athletes managed to finish this. Very tough event to finish with. Nice to see something other than Atlas Stones as the finisher.
It is, and a few women got really close, like Chloe. Laura was absolutely going great guns, wasn't she? Until she got to the 150 implement at the end, and man, she tried that weight so many
really
times. I was willing it up for her.
Yeah, absolutely. But this event, it really did come down to Lucy and Rebecca. They were really stretching themselves away from everyone else at this point.
Tied on points as well.
Tied on points going into this one. And just recently at OSG Europe's, Lucy took the win on this event.
And they went into it in the exact same scenario. They were both tied on points. They were stretched away from everyone else, and Power Stairs was the last event.
Absolutely. But this time it was Rebecca Roberts that took the win. And after that, she was interviewed by Radzi, interviewed by Neil Pickup, and left everyone in the arena with a tear in their eye.
A tear in their eye. Lozzie, tears all down my dress, makeup all down my face. I don't know about a tear in the eye. It was very emotional. Rebecca shared something really personal, but something just, you know, so important to her. Her dad, bless him, had a terminal diagnosis of cancer very recently, and he has days left to live, and she said she wanted to bring him home one more trophy. Oh my goodness, I'm going to cry again. But yeah, like, I just feel like going into that Power Stairs with that on her mind, I just don't think anyone in the world could have beaten her in that moment. Like, it was everything to her, you know, and you could see in her performance throughout the night, her performance, like, she was
so consistent. There wasn't an event that she did badly on. I mean, same with Lucy as well. Lucy's amazing. Those two right now just in fantastic shape.
They really are. And Andrea also, so soon after injury, to come back, get that 3rd spot on the podium. I know she was absolutely thrilled. There was some events she was terrified of.
She was very, very nervous of some of the events, but she did absolutely amazing. Very, very proud of Andrea. It's always tough when you coach people in these situations, because before the competition, I'm predicting Lucy and Rebecca to take top 2.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make Andrea understand that doesn't mean you don't go out there and fight just because I've said, you know,
yeah, it doesn't mean you don't have a
win.
chance. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's important to understand that, you know, you've got to be realistic about the position that you're in, what you're going through, but that doesn't mean you don't get to the competition and fight as hard as you can. Anything can happen, and she really performed well.
Yes, she did.
I think she can take a lot of positives from this, build on it going forward for other comps later this year, and potentially comps early next year as well. And then Donna Moore,
yes,
a fabulous performance from her. She kind of still showing she's one of the best in the world,
despite the fact that she's been doing it for such a long time, and the progression of the female side and the standard has shot up, and she's 30 kilos lighter.
Yeah, she's lost a lot of weight. That has to be
still up there. She's still she still surprises me with her performances. I think I fangirl over Donna, and I don't know many women who don't. I think she's so inspiring, because she was one of those ones that was there when no one else was doing it.
She was. I mean, let's go through the final competitors, because every single one of them deserves a mention.
They do.
So after Donna, we had Naomi Hadley, who was super impressive, to be honest. I haven't seen too much of Naomi competing.
Naomi's one of those that's really shy as well. She was really nervous coming on, but I think she did brilliant, and she was such a fun character too.
Yeah, and then Laura Baxter, she only had 2 weeks' notice for this competition. Static strength wasn't quite there to compete with the top athletes, but her moving, unbelievable, and that steeplechase was just fantastic.
Yeah, one of the highlights of the show.
Yeah. Katie Smith up next. Really been impressed with the improvements I've seen from Katie over the last couple of years. She just recently came third at OSG Europe's.
And I think she was actually a little bit disappointed with her result here because she hadn't been feeling well. And it happens, doesn't it? Like, you work so hard for something, you really push your body, and then your body just says no.
And the thing with Katie, she is still fairly new to it. She's going to get more experience. She's going to come back better. I've genuinely been really impressed with what I've seen from her. Claire Myler. Now, Claire deserves a mention on her own. She is, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but 51 years old.
She won't mind.
She is incredible.
She is incredible. Like, for Claire, she has a glaring weakness in the yoke.
Yeah.
And she said herself, I feel like my yoke stops me from being like a serious competitor in some people's eyes, because if it's in the competition, she knows it's going to drag her score down. And it did. She was last place on the yoke.
Yeah, that's something that she needs to work on. But everything else is, really solid.
Her power stairs were absolutely fantastic. Just her power, her static strength. She's genuinely, like, 51 years old. She's strong no matter what, but I just think she's outstanding for her age, and I don't want to say that. And do you know what I mean?
For any age.
For any age, but especially for her age.
It's a bit like Mark Felix, isn't it?
Yes, she is our female Mark Felix.
You just have to respect the ability to kind of think, I'm sort of in my 50s. I might choose an easier hobby.
Well, some people give up on life in their 50s, Lottie.
Some people give up on life in their 30s.
Well, they're like elderly people. Some people.
Her and Mark definitely are not elderly people.
They're not.
Fabulous performances. And well done.
Then we had Emma Jane Smith, and Emma had some great performances here as well. I know, especially for the log, that weight was her 1 rep max last year, and she did brilliantly on it in this competition.
Yeah, you can see she's really got a lot stronger recently. She's improving all the time. She's a very high level of competition. Again, she's going to go away and take a lot from it. And I'm sure she's disappointed in this result, but Rhiannon Lovelace is just a huge inspiration. She genuinely inspires me because
Me too.
I'm a heavyweight man.
You're the polar opposite of Rhiannon Lovelace. Yeah.
She is like, in the lightest category that we have in the female side of the sport, she is a ridiculously powerful woman. And I just admire the fact that there is no excuses. She just, she's not putting any limitations on what she's capable of. She believes she's capable of doing absolutely anything. And we constantly see that progress. And she's had an extremely busy year, which I think is important to point out. I think maybe for a competition like this, she needs to really focus on it because there's so much else that she was in America the week before.
Yeah. Just the travel alone.
Travel alone, it's going to take it out of you. And when you are that much at a disadvantage to start with, you don't want to give yourself any disadvantage whatsoever. So I'd love to see her just maybe focus 100% on this type of comp, but she did absolutely amazing.
She did. And one thing that really deserves a mention with Rhi is the fact that not only is she a super strong woman and an incredible athlete, she is a huge advocate for women in general and the female side of the sport. Her and Luke together, they do a lot for the women's side of the sport. They're constantly putting on competition. So not only is she doing her own training, she's coaching people, she's promoting the sport. So she really is one of the hardest workers we have in strongman, and especially strongwoman.
Next up is everyone's favourite, Chloe Brennan. She is just a bundle of joy. She came out like she was drunk in her walkout, and I was joking with her backstage, but it's just fun seeing the athletes come out having fun.
Didn't she compete the week before?
Yeah, she was another athlete that competed. She was in America competing in the World Naturals. She is just fantastic, another great advocate for the sport, someone that's helping promote women's sport, women's strength sports in general. She coaches. She's kind of done a lot to bring the popularity of the women's side up and up.
And joint with Chloe was Aisha Ullah, and Aisha, again, she's a master. She was a 2021 World's Strongest Master. I have a massive soft spot for Aisha because she's
just lovely, isn't she?
She is lovely. Like, if you don't like Aisha, I would want you tested in a lab because there must be something wrong with you. She's genuinely really, really lovely. And she's an incredible athlete as well. Her yoke performance in particular was really impressive. And then finally, we have Kate Connolly as well. She is one of the lightest women in the competition. She came in, unfortunately, carrying an injury. She's someone who's just been competing and working really hard. She works with Rhiannon, and I love these two together because whenever Kate's on stage, I have to keep an eye on Rhiannon because you'd think it was her baby out there, the way she's watching, like between her fingers, but they're so supportive of each other, and that's something that just stands out about all the women, I think.
Yeah, I think particularly this weekend, they just all seem to really kind of come together, put on a show, support each other. And I hope that everyone was there and everyone that watched on the live stream really enjoyed it as much as we did. I mean, you can tell that we genuinely did have fun and enjoyed it. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing the women's side keep growing.
I really want to see a women's open version of this. Let's get Olga in, Victoria. Oh my goodness. Like, you could have a 30-woman lineup if you're including weight classes.
I think we're almost at that point. We don't need to do, like, we can have a separate World's Strongest Woman.
Yeah, we can.
Like the World's Strongest Man.
We can, I think so.
I think the standard's there. Maybe even if they just do it as an arena show.
Yes.
You know, if that's the way maybe Giants Live take it on and put something like that on, I think the women deserve it.
So there we have it then, Britain's Strongest Woman 2023. Hopefully a real turning point in the sport for these incredible athletes. Like Klaus said, let us know what you thought of the show in the comments below. If you have not seen it yet, it is obviously available on officialstrongman.com. If you buy the stream this month, you get 3 for the price of 1, because not only is Britain's Strongest Woman on there, England's Strongest Man, there's also the Giants Live World Tour Finals in just a couple of weeks, so you can cancel anytime. And there's the backlog of all their previous competitions too. So a very good value for money month.
Give me a scratch on the shoulder. A bit more to the middle. To the other middle. More around the back. Keep going up. A bit more to the middle.
Oh, this middle.
Yeah. A bit harder.
To the right.
Yeah, a bit harder. Yeah, that's it.
But she still finished it in 12 seconds. No.
4 implements up 3 stitch.
A real turning point in the sport for... Fact it up. Like Loz said, if you...
You're right. And she was up against Rebecca Roberts, who... She did 7 herself. I mean, Rebecca's pressing has improved.
She was up against Lucy.
Oh, okay.